The market is looking the most bullish that we have seen since the Trump meme coin dropped in January. Everything really cascaded to the downside at that time. And we right now are sitting at plus 12% on the weekly for Bitcoin by itself. We're seeing lots of altcoins rally. And right now is the time that your portfolio needs to be in tune. So in this video, I'm going to go over my most up-to-date portfolio, and you're going to see lots of changes to my portfolio as I've trimmed down the amount of positions that I'm in, but I have just simply gone heavier into my top positions. We'll go through the changes over the course of 2025 when we started 2025 about a couple months ago, and then to now where we now see my most up-to-date allocations in this market. This is going to be an alpha packed video giving you all the projects that I'm aligned in and the niches moving into the rest of the bull run for 2025. Let's jump into it, guys. If you are new to the channel, drop down, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel down below for more every single day here on In the Game. We have you covered top to bottom from gaming, AI, RWA, meme coins, and more. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors from Blowfin and 𝗬𝗏𝗡. If you're not already trading on Blowfin, I would absolutely advise to check it out down below. And we have 𝗲𝗘𝗏𝗏 and Cradle Games. You can check those out in the description down below. So let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Right now, the market, like I said, is pretty bullish. I mean, overall, we're also seeing altcoins bounce. We see 𝗵𝗔𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 up 31% on the daily. This is one that we've been calling out all week that I thought was going to have a huge bounce because of the timeline that they launched on. It was really just a bearish time period. It was kind of hard to understand why it was going to go up at that point in time. But now, first of all, the market cap and the diluted aren't that far off, and we're seeing 83% over the course of a weekly time frame. So good for anyone who is holding 𝗵𝗔𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 as well. We just kind of keep rolling through here. We see 𝗕𝗫𝗄𝗃𝗃 up 23%, virtuals up 23%, Neural AI up 13% on the daily as well. 𝗬𝗏 continues to rip. 𝗬𝗏 is up another 7% and up 67% on the weekly. So very good action in the markets right now. And I loved this tweet from Becker. This just really defines where we're at in the market. And this is how I feel. Market's on fire. I'm beyond irresponsibly overexposed, and it feels awesome. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm very exposed to the crypto markets. We're going to start looking through here in this video over my updated portfolio, and we're really not going to waste any time. I'm not here to bring you news on the day or talk about, you know, the most up-to-date news that came out 30 minutes ago before this video, whatever the case is. In this video, I just really want to dive into my portfolio, what I've done, what I've trimmed as well. Because if we look back at the beginning of 2025, I was very much overexposed to the gaming niche. And of course, I'm one of the biggest gaming bulls that you're going to find on YouTube. I still think that crypto gaming is applicable. We see potentially Pokemon Home building with 𝗬𝗏. We see Off the Grid mainnet going live today. So there's lots of things going on in the gaming sector. But at the beginning of 2025 in January, I was 44% into the gaming niche. By about February here, and I had labeled it was the post Libra. So whenever Libra dropped and kind of disrupted the crypto market with that Argentina rug pull scam, this is where I actually trimmed my gaming allocation to 27%. And in my most recent one, I'm actually down to 22%. This is because I'm trimming the fat down. So I've taken out positions that I just feel like are dead weight or just not good horses, right? I want studios, chains, infrastructures, and top level games. If it doesn't fit that criteria, I don't really care to have it in my portfolio at this point in time. And for me, like, I think whenever you're overexposed to as many projects as I was at the beginning of 2025, even my focus was so diluted. It was just hard to keep up with everything, and you're managing so many different positions. It's really hard to take profits on 40 positions at a time. So for me, trimming this down really just helps your mental. But on top of that, I now have higher allocations into my most convicted projects, and that is most important. And a couple of criterias here. There's a lot of tokens in this portfolio that I have bought on the spot market. Okay, so most of these tokens, there's a couple that I had pre-sale allocations into that I am still holding, and I will call those out whenever we get there. But for the most part, 99% of these tokens in this portfolio video, I have bought on the secondary market, just like any other investor. And I also have a ton of pre-sales, but I am not including pre-sales in this portfolio. So for the most part, a lot of my pre-sales, whenever I do get my allocations or my monthly unlock on a certain thing that I invested in a year ago, I'm typically taking some profits on that every single time, and I don't factor that into my long-term hold portfolio. So I will, notate anything that I did get in on pre-sale, but if it is in this portfolio, that means I hold every token that I am given on these projects because I see the long-term time horizon and I see them playing out very well during the bull run. So let's go ahead and jump in here to the beginning of this portfolio, which is Bitcoin. And I know a lot of people that are like, well, Bitcoin's 94,000. Like, I totally missed Bitcoin. Why should I have it in my portfolio? I think if you consider yourself any somewhat of a serious crypto investor, you should have some money in Bitcoin. Look, it is the leading horse in the market. And right now, the way this is playing out, it's a Bitcoin bull run with some other coins attached to it. Like, as we see the decoupling that has happened, the Bitcoin market cap versus altcoin market cap is only separating at this point in time. We haven't had an alt season, so we'll see what plays out, but we are in a Bitcoin bull run. That is really the focus of this 4-year cycle's bull run. So for me, just do a DCA. I buy Bitcoin every day to this day. I bought my first Bitcoins way back in 2017, okay? Like, I don't care. I'm still buying Bitcoin to this day because I see this as a multi-$100,000 asset class as far as price point goes. Of course, we're at a $1.8 trillion market cap. I see this at multi-$100,000 in a few years. So for me, that's an easy hold, and I am putting 35% of my entire portfolio into Bitcoin. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, if Bitcoin doubles, okay, like, good for you. But at the same time, that turns 35% of my current stack into 70% worth of the value that I started with, if we just get a 2x. So for me, and everyone's different. Look, if you have $1,000 to play with in the market, absolutely, I don't know that Bitcoin, putting $100 into Bitcoin is going to be worth it. But if you have a little more capital to expend, I think having some allocation in Bitcoin is good, because during these moves where Bitcoin has been aggressive to the upside, you're not going to feel like FOMO or that you're left out because you're holding altcoins that are moving a little slower. If you have allocation to Bitcoin, you have action at all times in this market. Now let's dive into gaming. Gaming, I think, is going to make it. Look, I know a lot of people on the timeline are bearish on gaming, and they think that, over the course of time, crypto gaming is just not going to work out as a concept. But in reality, we see Pokemon potentially working with Sui. Off the Grid is crushing it. We have MapleStory going live. Raven Quest just went live and is absolutely killing it. We have Cambria with $1 million prize pool. Abstract games have been going crazy. On-chain heroes and other on-chain ecosystems actually thriving at this point in time. There's a lot of things to be excited about in crypto gaming. And I do think over this bull run, we're going to see a run. People are going to dislike it because they've left gaming or not believed in gaming to this point. But really, I think all of the projects in this portfolio, there's not really one that you can nitpick to say it shouldn't be here. Beam, I've allocated 3% of my portfolio into the AVAX L1 that used to be Merit Circle, that is now Beam. We have Super of 3% allocation in my portfolio. We have Echelon Prime at 2% because this has dipped. So this is basically at our entry price over a year ago, which is crazy to consider. But I have 2% of my portfolio in Prime, and then I have 3% of my portfolio in Ronin. I do consider these four to, for the most part, be very safe holds. I think over the course of time, and especially right now, the entry prices that you can get on stuff like Beam, Prime, Ronin, etc., like, you're looking at very low levels here. You see Superverse at 69 cents at 400 million. We see stuff like Beam, which I believe is also a little cheaper, 345 million. It's one of the lowest levels it's been since November of 2023. We also see stuff like Ronin, which I don't understand how Ronin is this undervalued, at also $350 million market cap. So I think those four All of them are at great entry levels at this point, but I just think they're very safe holds throughout this bull run. I think they're going to have action at some point, and I think you will be able to make pretty good money on these coins whenever alt season does turn around, as well as when gaming does pop off. Also, I have allocated 3%, which is equal to my top positions in Ronin, Super, and Beam into Gunzilla, so the off-the-grid token. And look, I am just overly bullish on Gun. I think that given the climate that Gun launched in, let's go find Gun. It's going to be a little lower because of its circulating market cap. Here we are. We see the Gun token sitting at about $550 million FDV at this point in time, 557 million. This launched at probably peak fear. And whenever the market turns around, there's a low circulating supply here, not a lot of unlocks coming up over the next 6 to 12 months. I think that this coin is going to get a ton of upwards momentum and price action over the course of this bull market. And I want mass exposure into it. So I have 3% of my portfolio into Gun. Now, full disclosure, I had pre-sale on this project. I was able to get allocated an early round, but I have no unlocks for quite some time. So first and foremost, I'm holding every token in this ecosystem. I see no reason to go and sell my Gunzilla tokens. And for me, that is one I'm willing to long hold and see the upside of during this bull market. We also have 2% into Zentree, and then I have 1% each into 𝗧𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And my one, you could say, risky play in this is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. It's just the most fun low market cap game that I've ever encountered in crypto. I had the pleasure of working with them for over 12 months on this channel, and just the amount of things that they've shipped over that course of time, I just believe in that team. So that is the only, I would say, super high risk coin in this gaming stack. I think for the most part, we've done a good job of trimming out the fat in gaming. Like back here, we had a lot of stuff that, I'm not going to name drop projects, but some of the stuff just didn't belong in a longer term portfolio. I think we've trimmed it up very well to more just studios, ecosystems, blockchains, infrastructures within crypto gaming, and then also just allocating into a few of the top games like Gunzilla, like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Those are ones I'm willing to stick a bag in and see it through because I believe in the teams and I believe in the product. Let's move down to chains. So obviously, this is kind of the boring stuff a little bit. And, Ronin's a chain. Gunzilla has a chain. So I'm grouping these differently. Like an Avalanche, I'm grouping in chains because they do way more than gaming. But I do think that if you just kind of are looking at it from a wholesome view, I think that AVAX would be considered one of the top gaming coins in the market. But overall, it is a blockchain that has DeFi, meme coins, AI, gaming, etc. So for chains, like I said, it's a little bit of the more boring stuff here, but we'll go through this here. I have 16 total percentage of my portfolio into chains. And if you actually look back as well, just the balancing of this portfolio has gotten so much cleaner over the course of time. We were very much weighted into gaming at the beginning of the year at 44%. Now we've actually cut that by 50%, but we've just basically allocated into the stronger projects. So we have 22% into gaming and now 16% into different chains. I have 2% of my total portfolio in Ethereum, and that's a rough ride. Look, Ethereum to me, it's something I have NFTs, I'm kind of factoring that into my portfolio a bit, but 2% into Ethereum, it'll eventually do something. Like you poke a dead, animal enough, maybe it comes back alive. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I have 5% into Sol and 5% into AVAX. Those are my two biggest bets. I think Avalanche goes back above $100. And then Solana is just the degen chain of the cycle. The meme coin casino lives there still, and it is still the most active chain through and through in the degen circles in crypto. So 5% each in AVAX and Solana. I also have 2% in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 2% in 𝗬𝗏. So recently we're seeing 𝗬𝗏 just crush everything else, like Ondo, Pepe, Ada, HBAR, Doge. And then we just see the 𝗬𝗏 performance here is just going crazy. They got a partnership recently with Grayscale Trust, MasterCard. There's rumors that Pokemon Home is building with 𝗬𝗏. So a lot of good stuff going on with 𝗬𝗏. Back in this portfolio, I had 1% into 𝗬𝗏. Now I have 2% of my total portfolio into 𝗬𝗏. I just think it's a great hold. It has been pumping quite a lot this week though. So if you're on the sideline on on that. I wouldn't be aping into 𝗬𝗎 quite yet. I mean, I would at least wait for a pullback. It's up about 70% this week on a $10+ billion token. We have about 12% of our portfolio into AI. I do think that AI, amongst all the niches in crypto, this is another one that is just going to be front and center the whole cycle. AI is taking over everything. There are more AI tools, more advancements coming in this industry, and faster than any other industry we've really ever seen. Like, AI development has been insane to see, and in a few years, things are going to be almost completely autonomous with AI in a lot of different industries. So for me, I have 12% of my total portfolio into AI coins. I have 5% into the beast, into 𝗏. I mean, 𝗏, look at the performance on 𝗏. The strength off the bottom just shows you 𝗏 is here to stay, and 𝗏 is going to be one of the absolute killers in the AI space this bull run. We're up on the monthly here. It is off the bottom 37%, now sitting at a $3 billion market cap. I think it is a very, very safe play to anchor your AI portfolio. So I have 5% into 𝗏. I have 3% into Render. So I have 8% of that 12% within 2 projects, which I feel very good about. Look, Render and 𝗏, I think you could interchange. The best crypto AI projects by far. 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙𝗏 to me just doesn't scratch my itch as much on the AI side. I do think that 𝗏 and Render are much more entrenched into AI, and I just think they're faster horses. I mean, if you just look at, 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙𝗏's up good on the weekly, but still down 12% on the monthly. Whereas we see here Render up 12% on the monthly, as well as 𝗏 up 37% on the monthly. So I feel like I have 2 really good horses anchoring my AI portfolio. And then from there, I have 1% into Neural, which is also one of the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 subnets. So it's in the 𝗏 ecosystem. 𝗔�sync, which is Destra. We have Heart, which is Humans AI, and GPU, which is Node AI. These are 4 that I'm very convicted in. I'm willing to hold these long term, but I'm not going to delve into low cap AI projects as much as I used to. I just feel like there's a lot of vaporware, a lot of stuff that doesn't really have substance to it. GPU has tangible product. Humans is working with governments on their AI products. 𝗔�sync is one of the best in crypto as well. Neural AI has tons of stuff in gaming and advancements. A lot of stuff going on with those 4 projects, and they're all relatively low market cap. So I like those as 1% plays in this portfolio. All the 1% things in this portfolio, if they just do a few X's, that's going to make so much progress in this portfolio, which is why I think you could potentially 5 to 10x using this strategy over the course of this bull run. So I have 2% into RWA. And look, this is where a little bit of pain comes in. I had 4% into Mantra before their big collapse here. And look, even though the price and the project seems to still be there, look, it's sitting at a few $100 million market cap. The team says they didn't do anything wrong, blaming other people, but they will never regain the trust of investors. And they definitely, it's tough. I took profits on the way up. We've been talking about this coin for almost a year now. Which is crazy to think. We were very early on the train. If you just looked up on the channel, in the game, Hustlepedia, you could probably find videos from a year ago whenever I met the team in Dubai last year and talked to investors and just got the scoop. And it was one of my favorite AI or RWA plays, pardon me. And just seeing what happened is unfortunate. So I took an L on that whenever that whole ordeal happened. But right now, my RWA/DPIN is Ondo and World Mobile Token. Really, I just put Ondo because, look, I just want exposure to RWA. I think alongside AI, I think RWA is going to be pushed forward a lot during Trump's presidency, as well as just this bull cycle. I think RWA is one of the most viable niches in crypto to apply to. Look, you say decentralized real estate or something like that. The common person's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because real estate's a high dollar industry. So if you kind of fractionalize that on the blockchain, that makes sense. I'd be willing to put money into that. So for me, RWA makes sense. I have 1% of my portfolio into Ondo and 1% of my total portfolio into World Mobile Token. Now into a little more of the you could say it's not so fun. I think these are going to be the most fun to track and see the comeback on these things. But we have meme coins. I'm going to do stocks last. I have 4% of my total portfolio into meme coins. And basically from this bottom, I don't think you have to go crazy. I have 1% into 𝗏, 1% into 𝗏. Look, it's my two favorite memes, long-standing. I've been pushing 𝗏 and 𝗏 for a year and a half at this point, is what it feels like. So, whenever we're talking about these two memes, one dominates the ETH chain. Whenever Pepe moves, 𝗏 moves. They have a good culture behind it. And then also 𝗏. It is the king of the base chain. And like what 𝗏𝗏 tweets, so 𝗏𝗏 on Twitter is like the biggest advocate for this token. To me, whenever this coin moves, it is like a leverage play on anything that is Ethereum related. So for me, I love 𝗏. I also still have 1% into Calvin. Calvin is still sitting at a $1 million market cap. And we've talked about this one from 300K on this channel months ago. It went up to 5 million or so, and then it took a retrace. But right now, I still have my Calvin in my portfolio. AI agent trading style. There's a lot of lore and origin story just came out. So I do still have Calvin in my port as my super degen low cap play. And then Pengu 1%, which is looking nice right now because Pengu is up 83% on the weekly. Now into the traditional stuff. I do have my crypto stocks as a part of this portfolio. And look, I think you should have some crypto stocks in your portfolio. And you should consider this as well a part of that basket, because at the end of the day, some of these are very degen. And I want to point one out as a caveat. So right now I have 2% into MicroStrategy, 3% into Coinbase, 2% into CEG, which is the stock that is overarching on Jack Mallers' new company, which is 21. And then we also have Hood, so Robinhood. But I want to preface this. When I say MSTR, I also have a separate degen side of this that I have into MSTY, which pays out yield every single month from swing trading the ups and downs and the volatility of MicroStrategy. So if you want a more degen allocation, I would do MSTY. It's MicroStrategy Yield Max, but for a safer investor and for this portfolio's purposes, I am using regular MicroStrategy. I hold both, but I do have a degen amount into the MSTY, which pays you monthly dividends, which has just been killing it for the most part. So if you're willing to accept crypto risk in the stock market, I think that could be a pretty good play. But look, this is my new portfolio heading into the rest of the year. I feel very confident with it from, adding Gun as far as they launched finally. So I have that position in my portfolio there. And then just, replacing Ohm with Ondo. I didn't want to do it, but we kind of had to do it. Adding CEG in the stock side of things. Adding Pengu, because a couple months ago, I thought Pengu was still going to go lower, and we talked about that on the last portfolio video. But now I think Pengu is at those levels where we're going to see a huge bounce to the upside. And then I just think we're much more well-balanced and lean from the beginning of the year. We were way too risk on at the beginning of the year, and I'll take that on the head every single day. Your eyes kind of get wide, and you lose focus a little bit, and you go into 30 projects, and you just realize, it's really hard to win whenever your mind's just that, diluted as far as the amount of stuff that you're in. And also the climate turned risk off very quickly after Trump's meme coin. And, a lot of those positions just didn't work out. So making this portfolio a lean machine that's focused on the top coins in each niche, from Bitcoin to gaming to chains, AI, RWA, stocks, and meme coins. I think this is a very well-balanced portfolio. You guys let me know down below in the description what you think about this portfolio. What coins in this portfolio do you hold? I'd love to hear any opinions. Are there coins in here that you hate? Are there coins in here that are your favorite? Which niches are you betting on the most? I mean, to me, AI, gaming, RWA, those are the three that are going to probably lap everything else. I think meme coins, but I don't know if the meme casino gets as hot as it was back in November, December, January. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts on the portfolio down below. Which projects from each niche are you the most bullish on? Which ones would you take out of the portfolio? I will respond to tons of comments in this video. You guys have a great rest of your weekend, whenever you are watching this video. Like and subscribe down below. I'll see you guys on Monday. As always, play well, my friends, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.